just got something to say about ADHD.
I am with Rabbi Nelson, who is a therapist here in Sfat Kodesh, and we were talking about a lot of people today are really having a struggle to be compassionate to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And they put a lot of pressure on themselves. And I was thinking about this, that for so many of us men who are struggling from trauma, put too much on ourselves when we don't really know what this thing is that we've been diagnosed with, whether it's ADHD or whatever it may be. And we're so hard on ourselves. We beat ourselves up. I wanted to take this time, Rabbi, to get your opinion on it. Like, what can we do as a community and as an individual to really break this cycle of being so harsh on ourselves and starting to give ourselves some compassion?
Good question. Good question. I think it's needed. It's definitely needed. You have a problem. You don't want to make it harder than it already is. Mm-hmm. So coming with that super intensity is like, it's handleable. I think everything that we have, that we experience, is handleable. Very often it doesn't feel that way. But Hashem promises, I'll never give you a challenge you can't handle. And so sometimes it's not about running away. It's like running to, like, what can I do? Should I deal with this? Let me go for a walk and then experience this. Like, how can I help myself succeed? But it's not common. I think if you ask most people, basically what they'll share is they're going around saying, how can I help myself fail? Because that's so familiar. It's hard. It's very hard. I think we need education and to be aware of it. I think as a community, people need to talk together. What's your experience? What's my experience? And to start to realize, like, oh, it doesn't have to be this way. You see, I always wondered, like, when you're in a 12-step group or a healing group, very often you'll have people who come in and they don't talk for weeks. And all of a sudden after weeks, they'll speak up one day and you go, whoa, this person was paying attention. But you thought maybe they weren't really growing at all because they didn't say anything. But it's about exposing ourselves to different ideas, different ways of doing it, to not be isolated, to not feel like we have to do it on our own. I think that's a big problem. Everyone's isolated. You look around and they seem happy, so I guess they figured it out. I guess it's an advantage as a therapist, and sometimes I feel like it's a mission of mine because I've been invited into people's lives. So I see what's going on behind closed doors. And when I tell somebody, like at my Shabbos, I'm like, I promise you a lot of people struggle with that. They're like, oh, but you wouldn't know, And so I think a lot of it's just education, or just the minute you realize it could be different. Maybe it's not exactly this way. I think that opens up a lot of possibilities.
Absolutely.
Maybe I could see it differently. Maybe I could feel differently. So that's a big one, and it is doable, it is manageable. So where something feels undoable and unmanageable, it's about allowing ourselves, like this podcast, I think podcasts are changing lives because you're delivering incredible information, and you're like a fly on the wall listening into a conversation, right. Or just two people sharing. But I don't know, I've learned a tremendous amount from podcasts and just getting the ideas out there. Because once now your brain is thinking of, like, it doesn't have to really be this way. And now all of a sudden, now you're on the journey to go find it. And if you're open to it, Hashem guides you and directs you. And that's how I became from. One conversation led to an experience, led to a book, and then we're on that path.
There's an idea I actually heard from my wife's Rebbetzin Pavlov. She started Sha'arim in Yerushalayim. She said every single person is their own world.
Yeah.
Right? And at first I was like, what does that really mean? And, in my group coaching, all the men, they have this one thing in common. And that is they were unaware that there were other people going through the exact same thing that they were going through. And then I was like, okay, I think I understand this idea of my own world. And that means it's like, I'm not really aware of what other people are going through because I'm in my world. I'm in my four amos,
Definitely one way to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of other ways to interpret that.
The other way is realize that person is complete. Like, something I see a lot of people struggling with is, like, generally the people I meet, they're not in touch with their body. Mm-hmm. They don't know if you knew how the stomach works, you would eat differently automatically. I've seen this happen to me. It's the same idea in Chassidus. If you understand why you do a mitzvah, you do the mitzvah differently. So the basics of how the body works, we don't know. So I'm not eating in harmony or sync with my body.
You can hurt yourself through your emotions.
Yeah.
I literally got myself in a liver attack a few weeks ago just by being super emotional.
There you go.
I didn't eat anything wrong. I was eating super clean the entire day. But the whole day was such an emotional mess. I ended up hurting myself. And it's like, whoa, I knew this in theory. I never lived it.
I believe it.
I think everyone should put themselves in an emotional liver attack at one point of their life, and then they'll be more aware of their organs. Hopefully it doesn't have to get to that.
It doesn't have to get to that.
Hopefully it doesn't have to get to that.
But generally, I think we all have to check ourselves. What's my relationship like with, and everything is relationships, by the way, but what's my relationship like with my body?
Mm-hmm.
And I would say most people don't have a relationship with their emotions, and that's my realm. And with the soul, how does the soul work? I'm religious, but I'm going through the motions.
Right.
I'm not.
It's robotic.
Where's the intimate relationship with the Creator? You know, the cool thing is you can start anywhere. And so sometimes people are like, I'm struggling with my diet and my nutrition, and I'm not making progress.
Mm-hmm.
So compassion.
Mm-hmm.
Go be successful somewhere else. Get a bit of a running start and watch. When you come back to it again, it's a little easier then to implement.
Right.
Or don't press yourself to like, I have to change my diet overnight. It's like, let me just learn a little bit more about this body of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And you find all of a sudden naturally, automatically. That's why the learning is so important. That's why these podcasts are important. It's just information, getting more knowledge about what's out there. Otherwise, we're just guessing and we're playing out old coping mechanisms developed as a kid to survive. We're all in survival mode.
That's very interesting too, by the way. Something that I think about quite often. I'd love to hear what you think about this. When I really resonate with the idea within IFS, right, internal family systems, that when you're a child and you experience certain traumatic situations,
Mm-hmm.
that child is reliving that trauma every single day within your body.
Yeah.
You know, so, and is unaware that you're older, is unaware of what you've accomplished and what you're going through right now. He's still living that situation.
Yes.
How do we give compassion to that? How do we like reconnect with that little child and say, hey man, I want to start over and I'm here for you?
Sometimes as easy as just that, what you just said. Wow. When was the last time you saw a picture of yourself at like 7?
Whoa, a long time.
Just try that. It's like, that's the source of life. It's you. That's the kid, and he's still inside of us. Wow. Sometimes just seeing the picture, because you have compassion on your own kids.
Right.
So you're in a great position when you have actual kids. It's like,
you're able to,
those kids, my inner kid, those kids, my inner, because it's hard to like, how do I connect to a thing inside of me? But and by the way, the more that your relationship with yourself, your inner kid develops, automatically relationship with your kids grows.
There was you know what, you're just hitting on something so real right now. There was a time not that long ago that my daughter was just really upset, and it was starting to get under my skin.
Yeah.
Right? I started to get really upset. And then I had this memory, and this memory that just popped in my head, and it was, do you remember when you were your daughter's age? No one understood you and wanted to put you on medication and did.
Right.
You know?
And
I was like, whoa. And I was like, I am the only one on this universe right now that really understands what's going on, because I was her.
Exactly. And of all the kids that could be given to you, it's those kids.
Right.
And of all the parents could be their parent, it's you are. It's just, when you add Hashem to the picture, and I work with a lot of non-Jewish clients, but Jewish clients can usually get into Emunah, but it adds a lot when you realize, because it's like, how do I make peace with certain things that happened or didn't happen? It's just like, well, Hashem wanted it to happen, and it definitely helps.
I think all people, whether if they have some kind of idea that the world was created by a higher power, can connect with this idea of Hashem. I have a client who's not Jewish at all, right? He now refers to God as Hashem. I sent him to go do Hibodedut the other day.
Nice.
You know, like, because it's not too difficult to understand. It's like, the world is too big and too magnificent to think that we just evolved from monkeys. You know, like, there's something much bigger going on.
Sure.
And people,
but that's the advantage. For a long time, I've lived in Sfat but worked online, and the majority of my clients weren't Jewish, and I was the only Jewish, only Orthodox person, only person from Israel. But it gave people an opportunity. I never bring it up, until they want to talk spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
But they always knew that they could. And you're absolutely right. It's an opportunity to impact other people. I'm lately feeling more of a call to be involved with Jews. I think it's time for geula, which is personal geula, personal healing, and the communal healing and whatnot. But you're right. The world is ready. It's so interesting. Really, everyone is what we say is a shaliach, is an emissary.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain people that we're going to impact simply because of where we are. I have a friend who is a big manager for, I think, the transit authority in New York City.
Okay.
He's the only Jewish guy around there. But look at all the people that you're interacting with. So we always find ourselves in environments, and I think that's a big part also. Like you see with kids, do I feel needed? Do I feel wanted? And do I have responsibility? Transformative, and you can see also the inner kid inside still wants that as well. But that's what you were saying, is the things you went through as a kid are still very much with us.
Right, they don't go.
But that's what the healing then is about, is realize like, okay, according to Judaism will say that, you're two souls. The Tanya tells us you're two souls. You're an animal soul, you're a godly soul, you're an adult part and a child part. But until you're 13 or 12, it's just that inner child part. So that's why you see all the things you absorbed at home the first 7 years. Then you go to school and you keep playing it out. And that part is still there. So just because, now there's another voice that comes online, doesn't mean I know how to work with it. And it's like what your daughter's saying, like the kid, we were all kids, and there's still this kid inside, like I was on my own. I had to figure it out by myself. And we're still in survival mode. We're still seeking things that we were looking for from parents or environment we didn't get. And it's about learning, okay, I didn't get that, but I need it. How can I start to give that to myself? It's not my fault I didn't get it. Like we say, what you went through is not your fault, but it is up to you what you do about it now.
If you do something about it though, right? Say you work on these inner child parts, you really work on it. You really heal the mommy issues, the Abba issues, the self-hatred you might have for yourself. Then what does it look like?
Freedom.
You're
so light. The shoulders, relaxed. You're just at ease. You're comfortable. Things that make sense. When you start, you're like, the world's happening to me.
But you still have. It's not like you release those inner child parts, and it's like, oh, my world is better now, right? It's just new challenges come.
They do, but you handle it so differently. And you also, it's like this: the things that I went through. I'm a kid. I'm in a home, and I love when Gibor Mate talks about. I love his approach to ADHD, which was a kid trying to deal with stress. The parents were stressed. I don't know how to handle it, so I'm just gonna zone out. And so I love that. But just like everyone I work with, I'm trying to understand what that environment is like that they grew up in. And I'm trying to help them understand it. So literally every trigger that I go throughout the day, people don't know how to connect to it. So I'm like, well, here's a feelings chart. Tell me the words, because you don't have vocabulary. And once you do that, you start, like you saw, my daughter, you see it. It's the same feelings. But it takes you back to a time as a kid when you had certain needs and they weren't met. How'd you handle that? So everybody develops some kind of limiting belief. My needs aren't being met because I'm not worthy, I'm not deserving, I'm not safe. And so now I'm stuck with, like, I can be here in this home, but now I have this wound. Like, I'm not safe, I'm not worthy. And then we start developing coping skills to try to make it through.
Right. Unconsciously too, sometimes.
It's all unconscious, but it's all on a survival level.
Right.
I always think about, tell me if you resonate with this. I think when I was a kid, there was a place, there was a golf course we'd go sleigh riding on.
Okay.
I'm telling you, it was a mountain, man. Mountains. I went back as an adult. It's like a little hill. It's like nothing. But it showed me something, that what the experience was as a kid was life and death. Right. And that's why it's so deep. And that's why I have to survive at all costs. And there's a piece of me right now as an adult that's still in survival mode. But the things I had to do to cope with it, as I start to heal, they all transform into strengths. Right. Like, you have massive strengths. Many of them were built on the back of coping to try to make it through. So the more that I heal, the more all of those, like the negative, remember the old photos? No one remembers the roll of film and anything, but it was a negative and it turns into a positive. So to me, I find that really important, like a personal redemption, but it's also, it was worth it, or there was value from it.
I connect with that a lot. A lot of guys that have ADHD, before they start working on themselves, they look at it as a curse. Like, why am I cursed with this?
Right.
And then the more a person works on themselves, they realize, I have a superpower here.
Yeah.
I have a real gift,
Superpower.
And I think that's what you're touching up on right now. It's like, I do have the choice and the ability to kind of reshift how I look at something.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it could be like a memory. Like I have this memory, like you were talking about, the memory of the golf course you used to go sleighing on was like scary big. And then you went back, it's like, hey, actually not that scary.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
But it's this idea, but there's a piece of everybody right here and now that's still in survival, fight or flight mode.
Yeah. I would say majority of people in the world are in this fight or flight.
Yes.
And I think I tell my wife this all the time. I was like, being a growing person is not easy.
No.
And that's why majority of people in the world are not growing people. They get stuck.
They're not.
They get stuck. It's not easy, man. It's blood, sweat, and tears. You know, it's like you have to really fight for it. You want to break the generational cycle that you're experiencing. You want to get your life in order. You want to make real change. You want to heal those inner parts. Yeah, it's gonna take work. It's a job.
Sure.
But it's like they're like, what's the alternative? You know?
Well, that's the illusion people live in, and they tell them it's like they think that there's a path that avoids discomfort, but it's not. It's which discomfort do you want? And that's what a rock bottom is, which is like whatever I thought I was gaining by avoiding and not taking it on, it's no longer paying off.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where a person makes the shift and they make the switch. And that's where I think people who come to this podcast, people who look for healing, are some of the most courageous people on the planet, because it's not easy, it's not comfortable, and most people will spend a lifetime completely avoiding it. But what helps is a supportive community. What helps is to not go through it alone. What helps is, I'm still engaging with healers, and I love saying, you teach me. I don't have the answers, or I'm stuck with this. Every week I have something come up, and I'm just so grateful for that create community wherever you can. This idea that we're deeply impacted by the 5 people that you're most around, whatever the number is. Mm-hmm. But it's, first of all, it's not just, we should have human beings in our space, and I think people are too isolated, but that be what it is. But I follow someone on YouTube that puts you in my life. I'm reading this person's book that puts that idea in my life, and if I want to start with some basic changes, just like look at what I've got in my environment, and like, is it going to move me in the direction I want to go?
Yeah. I agree with that completely.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have to take more control of what we're doing. There needs to be more ownership and not just kind of like sliding through.
Right. Well, that's this idea that what you went through is not your fault. So let that go. But it is on you what you do about it now.
Absolutely.
And that's the choice. It's just, you will pull this into your relationships. You will marry a person who will trigger you perfectly with all this stuff. You will then, hand it over to your kids. It's really up to you. And it's about, do I want to become a facer instead of a lifetime of being an avoider? Do I want to stop being a kid in an adult body? Do I want to start to heal that kid and build a relationship? So all the coaching, all the therapy, all the learning, all the growth, it all boils down to the same thing, is building and developing a relationship with myself, meaning that inner kid. But then all 3 relationships can align: my relationship with self, my relationship with others, and my relationship with the Creator.
What do you think is the defining factor that someone is going to be a growing person to take ownership and to improve in their personal life and what they're going through, compared to someone who thinks there's nothing wrong and won't take ownership, that's in denial? What's that?
Why does someone do yes and someone no? There's a couple of thoughts on this, but I was talking to someone recently. They're just like, how lucky we are that we see this.
Right.
It's really painful. Yeah, but we see it. So I think some people are primed for it and they get it. Then I think other people in their lives say, like, you're different. Something's different about you. Tell me about it. And then they can be inspired by it. I don't know.
Do you think it could be a generational thing?
I don't know why. I don't know. It is different. I mean,
I definitely think a lot of people in this generation right now are a lot more growth oriented than, say, the generation of our parents.
So we have access to information. Now that can get overwhelming, and it's not a guarantee, but yeah, it's different. Like, for example, I was just talking to someone about this. It's, for example, my parents' generation, they were raised by, people who were post-war, but you didn't go to therapy. You didn't heal anything. You just carried your wounds and made it through.
Because therapy would have this
it's just
stigma to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you need to go talk to someone, you're weak and something's wrong with you.
I know. So for example, there's what's called no contact. Some people go no contact with a parent,
Mm-hmm.
Now I get to work with a lot of parents, and I reassure them the parents are healing, but the kid's not ready. The kid's stuck in blaming the parent, but the parent is healing, and so I'm coaching them from that perspective through it. Or I've got people who are older, who are trying to deal with an older parent. I'm like, you're not going to get validation from there. It's a dry well. There's no water. Right. And so, but I was like, but you know what? This generation has a thing called no contact or Friendsgiving. I don't go home for Thanksgiving. It's not pleasant. You didn't have that in the past generation. So I think people have much more access to information, and there is growth and there is attempt. And as we were talking before, we have to create much more structures. I think we've gone as far out as we can, where WhatsApp and texting and Zoom has replaced face-to-face authentic conversations. I've spent the last month alone trying to have as many face-to-face conversations and to listen. Right, you have 2 ears and one mouth. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to, like, as a therapist, I'm trying to just be quiet and listen, and I try to listen to. It's been fascinating. It's improved my relationship with my sisters. It's improved my relationship with my family, and just locally seeing what's happening, what's going on. I'm just like, wow, okay, this is working. This is not working, but taking an interest, But it's not just. There's just not enough of it. There's not enough general, healthy, basic structures. For a long time, I had a Thursday night group. A couple of guys would get together. It's just getting together. Just like, you go through that? Yeah, I go through that also. It's worth its weight in gold. And so you know, it doesn't have to be like a perfect kind of a structure or support, but just, people do well when they're not, as isolated as they are.
What would you say is the first step?
I think just being willing and interested. Just be like, here, this one I tell people very often, which is like, when you're deciding to go in a certain direction, there's 3 parts to it, but you can only know 2 out of the 3, and you have to be comfortable with that. So I know my goal. I know where I want to get. I want to work out. I want to look a certain way. Fine. There's a whole lot of steps between here and there to get there. There's only one of those steps that I know, which is the very next step. It's something I'm going to think. It's something I'm going to say. It's something I'm going to do. Yeah, but what about step 2, 3, 4, 5, 50, 68? I don't know. But I have to allow myself to say, I can't possibly know it. And step 2 will only reveal itself once I take step 1. So I know my goal, and now I'm looking for my next action step. I found myself years ago feeling like I need transformation. I'm not healthy physically. I need to do something, but it's a resort here. It's a fasting thing over there. I didn't feel like I had access. And then all of a sudden I just said, but I need something. And I found water fasting. I said, I can do that. I want to do something serious. I did a 3-day water fast with salt, and it was mind blowing. It was the calmest I had felt in years. And aches and pains started to flow away. And I was like, but this is doable and accessible. It's right here. Just don't eat.
You didn't feel weak?
3 days.
You didn't feel weak, or you felt weak for 3 days?
No, I didn't feel weak.
No?
No, not at all. Oh, I thought you said, did I do it for a week?
No.
I felt amazing.
Wow.
Amazing. I don't do such physical work during the day. So I was sitting and doing sessions with people. My brain was sharp and clear.
Were you exercising when you were doing this?
Not much.
Not much, okay.
Not much. There's different shitas, should you exercise or not on a fast. And then I got into a bunch of intermittent fasting for a while, but it was just, what can I do? We're very good at saying, here's all the things I can't do.
Right.
Here's all the reasons I can't get started. It's like, okay, no problem. Granted. No problem. I'll give it to you. What can you do? I had a breakthrough with a client. I couldn't get them to do anything. And I said, because consistency is so powerful, pick something, anything. Lower the bar so it's really doable, and then jump in, but be consistent. I was like, can you drink a cup of water for me every day for the next 5 days? He's like, come on, that's so easy. I was like, so do it. Different person after 5 days.
Wow.
Because he set out to do something that was achievable and achieved it. And so I think it's the same. It's part of compassion. It's part of how can I experiment with what it feels like to set myself up to succeed instead of fail. But I love this. It's like, I don't care. Lower that bar as much as you have to so that you can get started. This idea of atomic habits about the power of consistency.
Oh, it's no joke,
No joke. But it's hard. ADHD, focus, scheduling, busy lives and whatnot. So my thing, like I'll tell clients, can you give me 5 seconds a day? Here's a list of feeling words. You have no emotional vocabulary, so you can't even talk about your feelings. Mm-hmm. Can you 5 seconds a day, can you reflect on a moment you had emotions? Like, okay, I could do it. Great. And then you grow from there.
It's those small steps to lead to the big steps.
Yeah. And I lower the bar as much, like, I haven't had someone say, 5 seconds, I can't do it.
Right.
If I ask for 30 minutes, it's like, yeah.
There's actually, it's very interesting what you're tapping into or what you're speaking about. There's a skill that I teach clients within ADHD that when you have ADHD, it's very hard to maybe even start a task.
Right.
Because you get super intimidated by it.
Right.
So if you tell yourself, hey, I'm just going to do this for 5 minutes. That's it.
Right.
I'm just going to do this for 5 minutes. after 5 minutes, you're like, yeah, I can keep doing this.
Yeah, that's
you know?
true. That's true. That's true. But if I can put a mark on the calendar, I did, because there are the days where I don't want to do it at all. And it's like, fine, that's, I tell people that the concept of l'chatchila and b'diavad that we have in Torah when it comes to halacha. Ideally, it should be like this, but if it can't, after the fact, like this. So I use different language, if it's like Gentile clients, but it's like, here's my bare minimums I'm aiming for on a good day. And here's the bare minimums I aim for when I can see I'm tired, hungry, didn't sleep well. That both are a victory. And I've set it up in advance. And so either one could work.
Right.
But it is about that. So how do I set myself up to succeed? But most people, myself included, I don't know what it feels like to be heard and understood. I don't know what it feels like to be allowed to feel. I don't know what it feels like to set out to do something and achieve it. I don't even know what it feels like. So very often it's like what I call brushing your teeth with your left hand. It's weird. But every day I do it, it gets a little bit stronger. And then every day I'm not using the right hand, it gets a little bit weaker.
Would you say, just getting a little more personal, would you say by you now being in a position that you work with other people, men and couples, that is healing for you?
For sure it is. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because I know there's an idea that, and the Ashlag Rebbe talks about this, and I'm sure it's brought down in other places as well, but when we're giving is one of the most strongest ways to heal. So I was just, I know when I'm helping people, I also feel like, yeah, wow, like this is really powerful for me too.
Right.
But there's like this balance of it too. There's this balance of it as well that's like, I'm giving to my clients, to my wife, to my kids.
Right.
When am I giving to me?
That's what you have to learn. And that's I love this idea, because no one has a problem when they say on the airplane, put on your oxygen mask first.
Right.
But in our personal lives, we don't do it.
Right, exactly.
But I would call it out. It's kind of like, when it's timely for tshuva and elul, which is like, if I really want to, let's go to the oxygen mask. If I really want to help people, I have to put on my mask.
Yeah, you have to.
Because I'll be limited. If I don't put on my mask, I start putting on for others, I run out of air, and now I'm done. I help my 2, 3, 4 people, and now I'm done.
Right.
So I lost, and I can't help more people. So if I'm real, I want to help people. Really? So then you have to put on your own mask.
Right.
You have to charge. But it's so selfish. Like, no, it's selfish to not put yourself in the best position to be able to give to other people.
Right.
And so for tshuva, I learned this from tshuva, because there's 2 parts to tshuva. Jews often get this wrong, and that's why we think guilt is like a Jewish thing. It's not. Step 1 of tshuva is charata. I really regret, right? And we add the element that, like, you have to realize that you're in a relationship with Hashem. Look how much Hashem gives to me. Look how much that He does. He asked me to do this. He asked me not to do that, and I bombed. So I have to bring the relationship into it. It's a different. I'm not in my one world where there's nothing else around. No, this is Hashem. This is me and you. He said, "Bishvili nivra olam." The whole world was created for me, but to experience this relationship with Hashem. And so I'm realizing, okay, I feel regret. And most people stop there. Jewish guilt, they feel regret. But do you really regret it? Because if I really, or with a friend, right? I think a big key to succeeding in the relationship with Hashem is to realize it's a relationship, and then to think about what I know from relationships in my life. Because we all know relationships. The way we relate to the spiritual world is by looking at the physical world. So in my relationship with Hashem, but it's just like, if I hurt somebody, right? And they tell me, and I apologize, and I'm really sorry. If I'm really, really sorry, if I'm really bothered I did it to someone, a lot of times people go, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I can't believe I did this. I can't believe I did this." But nothing changes. I don't start doing something different or stop doing something, then do I really feel sorry? That's the same thing. If I really regret this avera that I did, or letting down Hashem, shouldn't something be different? And that's why the step 2 of tshuva is Kabbalah Tova Alahaba, is to take on something new or different going forward. Same question. If I really, really feel it, then I should see it expressed in a certain way.
Thank you, Rabbi.
It's a good Elul message.
Yeah. This is the time too, right?
But it fits because your ability to relate to your daughter will improve as your ability to relate to yourself improves. Your ability to relate to your wife improves automatically. That's why don't overwhelm yourself. This is great for ADHD.
Right.
Just work on your relationship with yourself. But that's so selfish. It's the key to everything, because automatically your relationship to everyone around you grows, and your relationship to the Creator grows. All 3 of them are interactive with each other.
I have this saying that I say quite often, and now my wife says it too, and that is the most selfless thing that you can do for the people that you love is take time for yourself.
There you go. It's true.
Yeah.
It's very, very true. And so that's what really this is about. It's like I can't anymore going this way. It's not working. But then I need to start using the triggers. I need to use the breakdowns as to reflect on why am I so emotional in that moment? Why does it bother me so much when my partner says this or this? It's like, no, because once you name the feeling, this is what I saw. And if I could only give like one tool, or like I have two tools, it's still 15 years of therapy. If I could only give it to people, is to just go on. There's an app called How We Feel, which has an awesome list of feelings.
It's a free app.
Free app.
How We Feel.
How We Feel, amazing. Or go to Google Images and download a feelings chart, because we just don't know what we feel. And so every day, if I was a parent, I want to work on my parenting. So if I was talking to you and you're like, I had this with my daughter and this, what were you feeling? Just name it. Just name the feelings. It's such a clear, tangible skill. And then your feelings start, your awareness of your feelings grows and builds.
I'm guessing the app keeps a record of all the feelings.
It does, and it'll prompt you, or you pick one feeling word, but you can use the chart, but you want to build your emotional vocabulary.
Right.
But I would tell a parent, let's say every night for a minute, 30 seconds before you go to bed, were you triggered by your kid today or this week? What were you feeling in that moment?
Right.
And then you see it. You're like, when else have you felt those feelings?
I feel like a lot of us as parents, or just adults in general, we were never taught at a young age how to identify our emotions.
Exactly.
My daughter, I think she's 3 years old and she's better than me. She knows how to say at 3 years old, I need space.
That's beautiful. Our kids are our teachers.
And that's what I like. Again, we learn from our kids.
Yeah.
But it's like, how many of us did not receive that?
We didn't. But there's still a kid inside who needs to know, is it okay to feel?
Right.
If I take 5-10 seconds a day and I identify a moment, that day, that week, that month, that year, 10 years ago, where there were feelings, and the feelings are there. As a little kid, I can remember a moment as a kid and all the feelings are there. And I start practicing, picking the words off the chart, my vocabulary grows. But I'm also saying to myself repeatedly in a relationship style, you're allowed to feel, you're allowed to feel. I'm treating myself as valid and worthy that I took 30 seconds out of my day to tune in. And then the other tool I would add is write emails or text messages or voice to text. Have conversations that you don't send. Right. Practice expressing and getting
I love you Post-it notes to yourself.
Sure. Or the person that you need to talk to and they're not emotionally available. The person who impacted you and they've passed away. The person you're going to have the conversation with, but right now it's too raw and intense. How do I get myself? I'm going to write you an email, because think about this. Next time you type an email, you're talking to yourself as you're typing. You're actually practicing. Your inner adult part is listening to the kid. I'm talking to myself and typing it out. So I'm practicing feeling heard and understood.
Interesting. I
and
never looked at it like
do
that
not
before.
press send. Don't press send.
Don't press. Don't even put the email address in.
But just, you want where to get started? That's 15 years of therapy. Those two tools. Wow. Feelings chart, emails you don't send. A little bit each day.
So just so we have transparency for everyone tuning in, the two places that you recommend that a person starts if they want to take ownership of their life, they start feeling more compassionate about themselves and growing as a person: emotion chart, and write an email to yourself or to the person that you feel hurt by. Don't send it, but just write it out, because that's training yourself how to be in that conversation and talking it out and understanding how you're feeling.
Sure. You're practicing feeling heard. You are the primary listener, primary emotional responder in your own life. So that's what you're saying. How do I start showing up for me? How do I build a relationship with me? Start listening. Right. That inner kid part speaks the language of emotions. We don't have the vocabulary. Most people ask, how do you feel? Happy, sad, tired, angry. That's it. My vocabulary is done. Something powerful happens. I've even had people with panic attacks who I use the chart. I just talk myself through it. Just it's for the first time in your life, you're like, I'm actually showing up for me. That's what that feels like. And then you realize, my partner has also been showing up for me. I just didn't know what it felt like. So I thought that they weren't showing up for me.
I see that a lot as well. It's like we have this cycle that we do and we don't even realize what our own loop is, you know?
Right.
When I get angry, these emotions happen usually in the same order, right? But if you're not tuned into it, you're just going to see the whole big picture as anger, but there's
That's right.
actually steps of what we're going through, what emotions. It's like maybe you're going through shame, and then you're going through disappointment, and then you're going through overwhelmed, but yeah.
Then you have the words to deal with it.
Right.
So it's like tuning in isn't this like abyss of like what happens when I look inside.
Right.
And that's why I love this as a tool. It's like, okay, fine, I want to heal. What do I do? Well, here's
First
a chart.
identify it.
Just go through the list and pick words that fit. Like, okay, I could do that. But the chabad that we were talking about before, you're literally, let me use my mind to interact with my heart. I'm thinking about these words as I'm aware of what I was feeling in that moment. I'm bringing mind and heart into relationship.
I often tell people that my favorite Parsha is Parshas Korach for that reason, because I feel like Korach didn't know how to connect with his mind and his heart together.
There you go.
And I really resonate with that because I could be very emotional, right? And I feel like this thing that happened between Korach and Moshe Rabbeinu is Korach wasn't using his mind at the time. Like, he was very emotional. He was hurt, you know?
Right.
And so we have to be able to take a step back and be like, okay, let me bring my mind into it. Let me like stop and think, what am I actually feeling? Because like, yes, my heart is feeling the emotions, but my mind is going to help me to identify those emotions. First, I have to slow down.
That's the adult part within me, learning to have a relationship with the kid part.
Yeah, bringing them together.
That's what being a Jew is about, bringing those two souls into relationship.
Yeah. Rabbi, anyone who wants to get in contact with you, what is the best way for them to do that?
You have my website, zalmannelson.com, ZALMAN. Or you can hit me on Gmail, therapywithzalman@gmail.com, or find me on Facebook, Instagram.
We'll have it in the bio as well.
Cool. I'm awesome. I'm findable.
All right.
I'm findable. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Good talking to you.